Let's be real with each other. Gaming is really expensive these days, especially if you're trying to PC game. Hardware prices keep going up, game prices are rising, and it really feels like it isn't a budget hobby anymore. But that's not to say there aren't great games to play while on a budget. What is up, everybody? Jimmy or Chaos. Today, I'm going to guide you to the free stuff. We're going to be talking about 20 of the best free-to-play games on the market in 2026. So you let me know which of these you would actually recommend to your fellow gamers. Drop a like on the video. And at number 20 today, Where Winds Meet. Let's start off with a recent release. This is a game that dropped in November of 2025. Free-to-play action RPG published by NetEase. I know, NetEase. You play as an adventurer moving through various parts of a fantasy world as you meet new characters. You find new weapons. You learn different martial arts so you can keep up with the super addicting combat system. Plus, there is a lot of multiplayer elements here, both PvE and PvP. So you can do a lot of different things with this game. There's definitely some rough patches to be ironed out right now, which is to be expected with a game this new. There's a lot of great elements to it. I think this is a game that's only going to get better as time goes on. So I want you to definitely keep your mind on this one. Also, guys, do me a favor. Help us on the road to 3 million subscribers in 2026. And remember, I read every single comment on every single video. I truly appreciate all the positive things you guys say to me every single day and the constructive things too. I do appreciate you guys. At number 19, The Sims 4. Now, The Sims now is known for being aggressively monetized, which it is. But to EA's credit, they actually made the base game totally free to play. Definitely helps make the abundance of DLC sting just a little bit less. And to be fair to EA, and I never try to back up EA, the base free version of Sims 4 is actually pretty jam-packed with content. You'll get a lot of playtime out of that alone. I remember when the game first came out. People were down on it for how much stuff was missing from the previous games. But EA, they put time and resources into updating and adding to the experience, and now the base game is free for you. Might as well give it a run. Obviously, The Sims isn't for everyone. There's millions of people who are absolutely addicted to this game. So I would say it's worth giving a try so you can figure out if you're one of those people that the game may appeal to. And once again, it's free. There is no risk here. At number 18, Quake Champions. Maybe if I plug this game enough, Quake will make a comeback. Maybe not, but I can dream. I mean, I love Quake. Quake Champions was a series reboot that came out in the late 2010s. It didn't get off to a good start because, well, some hero shooter elements that were incorporated kind of clashed with the classic Quake design. But surprisingly, despite the relatively small player base, the game, it actually continues to chug right along. There have been a ton of updates issued to make it feel more like a proper modern update of classic Quake multiplayer. And it's free to play. Super fast paced, very hard. This is a super rewarding game to play well at. Every few months, the game will go through a resurgence and kind of seems like that's what happens right now. But it's hard to tell what kind of long-term legs the game has in the current year. But with that being said, it's worth playing. If you're looking for a super old school arena shooter, and maybe if we all get Quake Champions together, Bethesda will notice, and then they'll give us a big Quake reboot. I know, I'm optimistic, but I'm not. At number 17, Warframe. Now, this was initially released in 2013. It's seen by many as the best online looter shooter on the market. I mean, you can see the influence on basically every other game in the genre. You got the sci-fi setting, the visuals, really addicting gameplay and exploration. The game, it's had a passionate but small following right out of the gate. Now, as time went on, the updates came out, the game got more and more refined. People started noticing. They started getting disappointed by other looter shooters. More players started migrating to Warframe. Today, the game has well over 50 million registered players. You can play it on basically any platform you want to. You can play Warframe as casually or as seriously as your little heart desires. It is a good alternative to games like Destiny or The Division. Plus, there's supposed to be a Switch port coming out this year, so keep your eye out for that if you're a Switch gamer who's been looking for a good free looter shooter. At number 16, this is funny. The Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog. I'm not kidding. I'm serious. This is an actual game that exists. A few years ago, for April Fools, Sega decided to drop a visual novel murder mystery game, where the whole premise is someone killed Sonic, and then you have to help his pals figure out who did it. It's a short game. Definitely gets most of its appeal for the premise, but it's entertaining. It is a pretty decent visual novel game, and it's fun to see a giant company like Sega actually allow their IP to be used in a joke game like this. Plus, depending on how hurt you still are by Sonic 2006, Might get a kick out of seeing Sonic's stupid blue corpse. I know that was really morbid. I'm sorry, but Sonic 2006 is one of the worst games of all time. But it does make it worth the download by itself, and it's free to play. So just go have some fun. At number 15, Crusader Kings 2. This one is a PC exclusive, and it dropped all the way back in 2012. And to say massive is understatement, but it's a massive scale strategy game set in the Middle Ages. You control a medieval dynasty from the years 1066 to 1453. And the point of the game is not only to control and govern your land, but it's also to manage things like the war, the marriages, the assassinations. I mean, you use any means necessary to keep your dynasty afloat as long as possible. And there's a lot of historical figures thrown in the mix. You got William the Conqueror, Genghis Khan, Alfred the Great, and a lot of others. Crusader Kings 2 was a paid game for the longest, but it went free to play in late 2019. Remains free to play right now. Even though there's actually a Crusader Kings 3, which was released in 2020, a lot of people still think 2 is the superior experience. And since it's free to play, you might as well give it a shot. I mean, there's various DLCs and add-ons. They'll cost you some money, but the base free to play experience has a ton of stuff to do. And all the paid content, I would dare say it's actually fairly priced. At number 14, Apex Legends. I used to absolutely love Apex Legends. Now, even though I fell off the bandwagon a bit, it's still a good game and certainly one of the best free-to-play PvP shooters on the market. Has a pretty major problem, though, with overcomplicating things. There was also a bit of controversy when they reworked the business model a while back, but it does seem now like they've got things ironed out and the game itself is pretty polished and there's lots of stuff to do. The core gameplay, it is this perfect blend of battle royale and hero shooter. Features super smooth movement and shooting that feel familiar to anyone who put time into Titanfall. Plus, with the time to kill being so long, you can get into some pretty intense gunfights, and the better player almost always wins. Now, there's not a lot of cheesy strategies anymore, which is good. It's a great game. I would argue it's one of the best battle royale games on the market. And since it's free to play, here it is. It's not as popular as it once was, but the community, it's big over there, and the game is still genuinely pretty well designed to give it a run. So if you haven't in a while or you never have, go try it out. At number 13, Genshin Impact. Now, some of you may hate this game because it's the quintessential anime game, and the monetization can definitely get, let's just say, a little excessive. But at the same time, there are literally millions upon millions of people that log into Impact every single day across basically every platform. And if you've actually played it, you're probably shaking your head in understandment, right? That's not even a word. You understand. When you look past the annoying monetization, you look past the colorful anime girls, what you actually find is a deep action RPG. There's a rich open world, addicting combat mechanics, and a ton of stuff to discover and grind. No pun intended there. This is the kind of game that people spend literally thousands of dollars on because of how addicting it can be and how aggressive the monetization can be. So I guess I need to give you the warning. Be aware that's going on. I mean, if you're someone who isn't good at controlling your wallet, you might want to stay away from this one. But if you just want an interesting open world RPG with some fun combat, give it a shot. I mean, it's free. The base game is free, so there's nothing to lose. Just don't get sucked into the money funnel. At number 12, Rocket League. It's one of those games that nobody expected to blow up. Then it did, and everybody was better because of it. Literally, it's just soccer with RC cars and a giant ball in 5 minutes of your time. And for some reason, it's some of the most fun you can have in the multiplayer game. It's also one of the most addicting games out there. The controls, easy to understand, but extremely difficult to master. It's amazing just how addicting such a simple game can be. Rocket League was a paid title for a long time, but it's officially free to play now, and there's a lot of optional cosmetics you can buy to make your car look cool. Keep in mind, if you're starting from scratch now in Rocket League, you have a lot of catching up to do because the skill gap, it's gotten huge since it came out a decade ago. But it is the kind of game you're going to want to get really good at because it's really satisfying to finally score your first goal and drive circles around random people online. It just is. At number 11, Deadlock. Valve definitely likes to take their time with their games now, and it's been a hot minute since they had a major release, but it is looking like 2026 will finally be the year they unleash Deadlock. This is their free-to-play third-person MOBA hybrid that's been getting a lot of attention through early beta on Steam. There's a massive cast of characters for you to pick from, each with literally hundreds of possibilities for new skills, buffs, all of that as the match progresses, with the ultimate goal to be the team that manages to push all the way into the enemy team's base and destroy it. Basically, it's League of Legends, but you're taking direct third-person shooter control of your character instead of commanding them from above. No top-down there. It's a lot more going on. I mean, various buffs, upgrades, It looks polished. It's been in closed beta for about a year now, but it seems like we're finally getting the 1.0 release in 2026, and it's almost certainly going to be free to play when that happens. So keep your eyes peeled for Deadlock. At number 10 today, Guild Wars 2. This is one of the longest running MMOs in the world. It's a fantasy RPG. You got player characters, NPCs, huge storylines going across the entire game world. You got various eras involving different aspects of the world, all the major players. The game prides itself on having a story that changes depending on the actions of you, the player, which is kind of the thing you would expect in a single player RPG, but it's super rare in MMOs. And that, to me, is what makes the Guild War experience so different from something like, say, World of Warcraft. You got dynamic events, they create ripple effects on the stories of other players, and they make your story feel a lot more impactful on the overall story of the game. It's been free to play for over a decade, 10 years. It's maintained a huge player base since its initial launch all the way back in 2012, which is kind of insane to think about. Now, I know, not everyone likes these epic fantasy MMORPGs, but if that sounds like something you'd be into, maybe try Guild Wars 2. Give it a shot. It's worth your time. I have a feeling you'll probably get hooked, but just be aware of the fact this is the kind of game that people completely lose themselves in, so you need to be ready for that as well. At number 9, Fortnite. Now, it isn't the same global sensation it used to be, but then they just break records, like 6 million people online for their live event. It is a fun experience, and it has something for everyone. I know it's easy to hate on now. The Battle Royale mode isn't really the main focus anymore, but it's still there. It's fun. Fortnite is now more of a massive platform of tons of different kinds of game modes and experiences, a lot of which were made by passionate members of the community who dedicate hours of their life to figuring out how to make the coolest and most addicting thing possible out of the assets Fortnite already has. So basically, Fortnite has evolved into a more sophisticated version of Roblox. Depending on who you are, that can be good or bad. Like I said, the classic Battle Royale mode is still in the game. Still has a huge community of players. And I know a lot of people were annoyed with how complicated the game has become compared to the good old days of 2017 and 18, which is when my heyday in Fortnite. That's just the way of the road, I guess. Fortnite is still pretty fun. And since there's so much user-generated content, I'd say it's worth giving a shot, because even if the current version of the Battle Royale isn't your cup of tea, which it's not mine, you'll probably find something that you enjoy in there. At number 8, League of Legends just keeps trucking along. It's popular for a reason. Been at the top of the MOBA world for, I don't even know. Every new MOBA is compared to League, and the team is constantly evolving the business model to keep up with the times and make sure everything is fresh and exciting. Plus, the gameplay, it's really good on top of that. And since the game is so old, you could run this literally on any computer you have. You could probably run this on a Texas Instrument calculator. League of Legends is the perfect game to play if you're trying to get into MOBAs, or if you just want a fun, easy to understand, hard to master experience with a lot of content and a thriving community. This is a really, really well-designed game that has stood the test of time. And since it's free, there's literally no excuse for not having tried it. And if you haven't tried League of Legends in 2026 ever, come on, add it to your New Year's resolution and go give it a try. At number 7, War Thunder. Vehicular combat, right? These games are getting popular again in this era of gaming. I think War Thunder probably played a big part in that. Vehicle Combat Game takes pride in recreating tons of real-world ships, tanks, planes, all of it, and you have various eras of warfare, so it's actually great for you war history buffs in the audience here today, right? Combat mechanics, they're in-depth. They factor in things like where your vehicle was hit, what internal mechanisms were damaged. It makes the battles feel dynamic and unpredictable. There's also a lot of content for a free-to-play game like this. You're going to get a ton of mileage out of it without ever spending one penny. Oh, we can't even do pennies anymore. They're not minted. Now, I know the constant YouTube ads for this game can get annoying. I've probably had one or two on my channel in the past, but it's genuinely a really good vehicle combat game. And if you're someone who likes learning about real-world combat, you're probably going to like this one. At number 6, Marvel Rivals. Now, when this game was first announced, a lot of people were hating on it because it was an Overwatch clone. But then the game came out, and it shocked everybody by actually being really freaking good and deep. Yeah, it's undeniably an Overwatch clone, but it's an extremely polished one with short, addicting gameplay and a very fair business model. Plus, now you have tons of unique characters to master. There's game modes, all kinds of stuff. It is made by people who clearly have lots of love for the Marvel Universe. They want to treat all these characters with respect so they can make something authentic for the fans, even if you're not a fan of Marvel. Rivals is one of the best hero shooters to come out in the 2020s. It's a proper competitor to games like Overwatch. Heck, I would say it's better than Overwatch at this point, and the Marvel Rivals developers are infinitely better at listening to the community, better off than Blizzard was, so yeah, I mean, give it a try if you haven't. It's a fantastic hero shooter with some really good theming and some of the best Marvel Universe content to hit the gaming world in a long, long time. Now we arrive at the top 5. These are those free games you really need to lock into. Path of Exile. Now, Diablo 3 and 4 have gotten criticized for being a bit dumbed down compared to previous Diablo games. But if you are looking for something like Diablo 2 on crack, Path of Exile. The game was released in 2013. It was originally going to be a huge update to, it was going to be a huge update to it, but that update was instead turned into a standalone sequel, which is Path of Exile 2, which was released in 2023. But for the original Path of Exile, it's going strong. Free-to-play model, lots of content, some of the deepest action RPG dungeon crawling gameplay you could ever ask for. Heck, the game has been described as a spiritual successor to Diablo 2. So if you're one of the many people who was upset about the direction Diablo went after that game, here you go. An isometric action RPG where you fight monsters, you do quests, you grind XP, and you make a ton of different characters and different classes. You can never run out of stuff to do. And did I mention? I mean, it's both single player and multiplayer. You should be all over the game. Frankly, this is one of the best action RPGs on the market, both free and paid. Who cares if it's 13 years old? At number 4, the finals. Whenever you make a YouTube video talking about the state of multiplayer shooters, there are always people in the comments telling you to play the finals. And you're talking to a guy that makes a lot of videos about FPS games. This team-based FPS, it's known for the gameplay. You have the destructible environments. You have unique map design, weaponry, extremely engaged developers who always have their ear to the pulse of what their community is asking for. Really, take notes, Activision. Take notes, EA. The game definitely goes through up and downs in terms of player base, but it's maintained a healthy following for a couple years now. I feel like it's really just a few updates away from exploding. If you're looking for a game that's a good alternative to COD, or a good alternative to Battlefield, or even Overwatch, or any of those team-based shooters, go download the finals. It does scratch a lot of the same itches as those games while also giving you something totally unique and addicting in its own right. At number 3, Team Fortress 2. It's really hard to believe this game is still going. Every year I make a video or I mention it and I'm like, really? But here we are, 20 years later. TF2 is still one of the best multiplayer shooters on the market. The game dropped back in, I think it was 2007. Widely considered to be the game that invented the hero shooter genre, although it plays very differently from what you typically expect from a hero shooter these days. It's very colorful, very easy to understand, but super hard to master, and there's so much personality in the presentation. It helps set it apart from other games on the market. It's probably a major reason why it's still alive. Free-to-play model, they shifted a while back, and it's remained one of the most played games on Steam for 2 decades. Doesn't matter where you log in. There's always going to be tens of thousands of people on the servers with you. Never been a better time to get into it. At number 2, Dota 2. Now, League of Legends may be the most popular MOBA on the market and the best one for learning the genre, but if you want the gold standard of MOBAs, the one that demands the most from you and requires the most skill, that's got to be Dota 2. I mean, it's been one of the most popular PC games in the world for a decade now. 2 teams of 5 face off, try to defend their base while advancing into enemy territory to destroy theirs. There's so many different heroes to pick from, all who require different skill sets, all who have different strengths and weaknesses on the battlefield. If you're familiar with League of Legends, you'll understand Dota pretty quickly. But it's going to be really hard because the sheer number of moving pieces on the battlefield at once, and one of the most common criticisms of Dota is the learning curve. But at the same time, the learning curve is also why many people absolutely love the game and refuse to put it down despite it being 13 years old. The game is entirely free to play. It has even more content than League of Legends does. Give it a try. Jump. Don't be scared. It's difficult, but it's rewarding. You're going to get rolled for a while, and you're going to have to be okay with that. But if you stick with it, yeah, you could end up being the next Dota master. And at number 1, no shocker to anybody today, Counter-Strike 2. There's a reason why this game has been the gold standard for multiplayer shooters for over 20 years. Every 7 or 8 years, Valve releases a new version of Counter-Strike, updated graphics, tweaked UI, but the gameplay, it remains mostly untouched since the original version all the way back in 1999. And ever since CSGO shifted to a free-to-play model, it costs you absolutely zero to hop in. The latest version of the game is simply called Counter-Strike 2, not sure why. And it's not only free-to-play, but it's jam-packed with content, official and user-generated, features the same razor-sharp gameplay that the series is known for, albeit with some major graphical improvements that Valve is always working on. Counter-Strike isn't going away ever. And you might as well hop on the wagon now because even though it can be extremely oppressive to new players and the skill gap is huge, it's a rewarding experience and there's nothing else that plays quite like it. Like I said, there's a reason why this game has been at the top of the FPS world for over 20 years, despite barely changing its gameplay. And there you have it, my friends. Do me a favor. Let me know in the comments, are you one of the rare people that's never played some of these big games? Like League of Legends, Dota 2, Counter-Strike. Have you actually never logged in and played them? I would really like to know in the comments. Let me know a couple other free games we didn't mention. Hopefully, this gives you guys something to do while you're waiting for GTA 6, and I'll see you soon.